In today's video, you're about to discover the most valuable, super rare US coins that have shocked collectors and sold for life-changing amounts. Stay with me, because by the end, you might look at your own coins very differently, and possibly uncover a fortune hiding in plain sight. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple quarter, and discovering it could be worth more than your house, more than your lifetime savings, even as much as $2 million. Sounds impossible? What if I told you that one particular coin, the 1988 D Washington quarter, has stunned collectors with rare error variations that have transformed ordinary change into extraordinary wealth? The real question is, could you already have one without even knowing it? Let's begin with a thought that might keep you awake tonight. How many times have you spent a quarter without even looking at it? How many coins have slipped through your fingers at gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines? What if one of those coins could have changed your life forever? This is not just a story about coins, this is a story about awareness, timing, and opportunity. And today, you're about to see the hidden world of the 1988 D Washington quarter in a way most people never do. The 1988 D Washington quarter might look ordinary at first glance. It carries the familiar image of George Washington, something Americans have seen for generations. But beneath that familiar design lies a rare possibility: mint errors. And not just small imperfections, but the kind of errors that collectors fight over, the kind that auction houses spotlight, the kind that can skyrocket a coin's value into the realm of millions. Now you might be wondering, what exactly makes a simple quarter worth such an extraordinary amount? Is it age? Is it rarity? Or is it something else entirely? The truth is, it's the error, the mistake that was never supposed to happen. In 1988, during the minting process at the Denver Mint, a handful of quarters were struck with anomalies that turned them into treasures. These errors can include misaligned dies, double strikes, or even transitional design elements that were not meant for circulation. Here's where things get interesting, and maybe a little unsettling. Most people never check their coins closely. They assume all quarters are equal. But collectors know better. They examine every detail, every line, every edge. Because sometimes, the difference between a 25-cent coin and a life-changing fortune is almost invisible to the untrained eye. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, a small pile of coins in front of you. Nothing special, just loose change from your day. But suddenly, you notice something unusual on one of the quarters. Maybe the lettering looks slightly off. Maybe the design appears doubled. Your heart starts to race. Could this be one of those rare error coins? Could this be the moment everything changes? And let me ask you something important. If you did find such a coin, would you know what to do next? Would you know how to sell old rare coins? Would you know how to approach collectors or auction houses? Or would that opportunity slip away simply because you didn't act? This is where many people lose out, not because they didn't have the coin, but because they didn't have the knowledge. Selling coins is an art and a strategy. It's about understanding value, timing the market, and choosing the right platform. Some people rush to sell at local shops, accepting far less than the true value. Others take a smarter path, connecting with professional grading services and major auctions where collectors compete fiercely. Now imagine your coin being placed under bright lights at a prestigious auction. Experts examine it, confirm its rarity, and suddenly bidders from across the country, and even the world, start competing. The price climbs, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, and beyond. The room is electric. This is not just a sale, it's a moment of transformation. But here's the twist: this opportunity is not reserved for experts or seasoned collectors. It belongs to anyone willing to look closer. Anyone willing to ask questions. Anyone willing to act. That includes you. Have you ever thought about how many valuable coins might still be circulating today? How many are hiding in piggy banks, drawers, or old jars? The idea of turning pocket change into millions is not just a dream, it's a reality that has happened before. And the 1988 D Washington quarter stands as a powerful example of that possibility. Let's pause for a second. Quick question: when was the last time you actually checked your change carefully? Not glanced at it, but really looked at it? If the answer is never, you're not alone. But that's exactly why opportunities like this still exist. Because most people don't pay attention, and here's something almost ironic. The very thing that makes these coins valuable, the errors, was once considered a flaw. A mistake. Something to be discarded. But in the world of coin collecting, mistakes can become masterpieces. They become rare, unique, and incredibly desirable. So how do you make money from coins like this? It starts with awareness. Then comes verification, having your coin examined and graded by professionals. After that, it's about choosing the right selling method. Auction houses, online marketplaces, and coin dealers all play a role. But the key is understanding where your coin will attract the highest demand. Now let's bring everything together. This isn't just about one coin. It's about a mindset. A shift in how you see everyday objects. That quarter in your pocket is no longer just spare change, it's a possibility. A question waiting to be answered. Could this be the one? And here's where urgency comes in. The longer you wait, the more chances you miss. Coins get spent, lost, or overlooked every single day. The opportunity doesn't disappear, but it moves. It passes from one person to another, waiting for someone to recognize its true value. So ask yourself right now. What if your next coin holds the key to financial freedom? What if the difference between where you are and where you want to be is already in your possession? And most importantly, what are you going to do about it? What if I told you that a single 1965 no-mint Mark Washington quarter could be worth as much as $2 million? Yes, you heard that right, $2 million for something most people overlook every single day. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your change? This is not just another coin story. This is about opportunity, timing, and the thin line between ordinary and extraordinary. Because somewhere in America, someone has already found one of these rare quarters, and chances are, more are still out there, hiding in plain sight. Let's step back for a moment. The year 1965 was a turning point in American coin history. Rising silver prices forced the United States Mint to remove silver from quarters and replace it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. That decision changed everything. But in the chaos of transition, something unusual happened. A small number of quarters were mistakenly struck using the old silver planchets, a rare minting error that would later become one of the most valuable secrets in numismatics. Now think about that. A mistake, an accident, a tiny oversight inside a massive system, created something worth millions. Isn't that fascinating? Sometimes the biggest fortunes are born from the smallest errors. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through loose change. Bills to pay, life to manage, nothing extraordinary. Then suddenly, you notice something different about one coin. It feels heavier. It looks slightly different. That could be your moment. That could be the moment everything changes. But here's the question, how would you even know? The rare 1965 quarter error stands apart in subtle but powerful ways. Unlike regular clad quarters, the silver version has a distinct shine and a slightly higher weight. There is no mint mark, which makes identification even more challenging and exciting. It's like a hidden treasure disguised as an ordinary object. And that's what makes it so dangerous, because people spend it without realizing its true value. Let me ask you something honestly. How many quarters have you spent without even looking at them? Hundreds? Thousands? Could one of them have been worth a fortune? That thought alone should make you pause the next time you reach for your wallet. Now let's talk about value, because this is where things get truly unbelievable. In top condition, authenticated and verified by professional grading services, a genuine 1965 silver error quarter has reached valuations as high as $2 million in private sales and elite auctions. That's not just money, that's life-changing wealth. That's financial freedom. That's the difference between surviving and thriving, and here's where the urgency kicks in. Coins like this don't wait forever. The market is active. Collectors are searching. Dealers are watching. Every day, Coins are being discovered, sold, and locked away in private collections. The longer you wait, the higher the chance that these opportunities disappear. So what should you do? How do you move from curiosity to action? How do you go from pocket change to millions? Start by asking the right questions. How to sell old rare coins. How to sell coins safely in the United States. How to make money from coins without getting scammed. These are not just questions, they are the gateway to unlocking real value. The process begins with awareness. You need to look at your coins differently. Treat every piece of change as a potential opportunity. Examine dates, weights, and finishes. Compare them with known standards. And if something feels off, don't ignore it. That off feeling could be your golden ticket. Next comes verification. Professional grading services play a critical role. They authenticate coins, assign condition grades, and establish credibility in the market. Without this step, even the rarest coin can go unnoticed or undervalued. So ask yourself, are you willing to take that extra step to secure your future? Now let's talk about selling. Because finding a rare coin is only half the journey. Turning it into wealth requires strategy. Should you go to a local coin shop? Should you approach a high-end auction house? Should you sell privately to collectors? Each path has its advantages, but the key is knowledge. Auction houses often bring the highest prices because they create competition among serious buyers. But they also require patience and preparation. On the other hand, private sales can be faster but demand strong negotiation skills. So what kind of seller do you want to be? Passive, or powerful? And here's a quick reality check with a twist of humor. Imagine selling a $2 million coin for $50 because you thought it was just old change. Sounds painful, right? Don't be that person. Knowledge is your shield, and awareness is your weapon. As we move deeper into this story, everything connects. The history of the coin, the rarity of the error, the curiosity of the collector, and the awareness of the finder, it all leads to one moment. The moment when you realize that value is not always visible. Sometimes, it's hidden, waiting for the right person to discover it. Let's bring it all together. The 1965 no-mint Mark Washington quarter error is more than a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. It's proof that extraordinary wealth can exist in ordinary places. It's a reminder that opportunities don't always announce themselves, sometimes, they whisper. So here's my final question to you. What if the next coin you touch is the one? What if your journey to financial freedom starts with something as simple as paying attention? The truth is, you don't need luck. You need awareness, action, and the courage to look closer than everyone else. Because while others are spending their change without a second thought, you could be building a future, one coin at a time. And remember this, from pocket change to millions is not just a dream. It's a strategy. It's a mindset. It's a decision. So tonight, before you go to bed, take a moment. Check your pockets. Open that jar of coins. Look closely. Because hidden among the ordinary might be something extraordinary, something that could change your life forever. Imagine reaching into your pocket right now, pulling out a simple quarter, and discovering it could be worth not 25 cents, not a few $100s, but up to $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. 2 million. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, how many quarters have slipped through your hands over the years? How many opportunities have you unknowingly spent on coffee, gas, or left behind in a drawer? Today, we are diving deep into a fascinating story, a story that could change the way you look at every coin you own. This is the story of the 1995 D-Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar, a coin that most people ignore, but a rare error version of it has stunned collectors and shaken the coin market with a jaw-dropping value reaching up to $2 million. And here's the real question, what if you already have one? Let's begin. Back in 1995, millions of Washington quarters were minted in Denver. These coins were designed for everyday use, never intended to be special. They passed through hands, cash registers, and bank rolls like any ordinary coin. But hidden within this sea of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary pieces were born. Now think about this, in a massive production environment, mistakes happen. Tiny errors, barely visible to the untrained eye, can transform a simple coin into a life-changing asset. And that's exactly what happened with certain 1995 D Washington quarters. Some of these coins were struck with rare minting errors, errors so unique, so scarce, that collectors are willing to pay fortunes to own them. We're talking about double strikes, off-center strikes, and rare die errors that make each coin one of a kind, and here's where it gets exciting. One of these rare error coins has been valued at up to $2 million in the collector's market. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked your pocket change carefully? Not just glanced at it, but truly examined it. Most people don't. And that's exactly why opportunities like this slip through unnoticed. Imagine this scenario: you're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe going through a jar of coins you've had for years. You almost throw them away or cash them in at a machine. But what if, just what if, one of those coins is the one collectors are desperately searching for? That's the difference between ordinary thinking and opportunity thinking. Now you might be wondering, what exactly makes this coin so valuable? It comes down to rarity, condition, and error type. A standard 1995 D quarter is common. But an error coin in near-perfect condition, that's a completely different story. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying history, uniqueness, and scarcity creates demand. Let's shift your perspective for a moment. Think about art. A simple painting might be worth nothing, but a rare masterpiece sells for millions. Coins work the same way. A tiny imperfection during minting can turn metal into treasure. Now here's a question that could change everything for you. Do you know how to identify these rare coins? Because knowing is the first step to profiting. Look closely at the details. Is the design slightly off-center? Do you notice doubling in the lettering or the image? Does the coin look different from others? These subtle signs can indicate a valuable error, but don't worry if you're not an expert yet, because every expert started as a beginner. The key is awareness, and awareness leads to action. Now let's talk about something even more important. What do you do if you find one? This is where many people make costly mistakes. They either sell too quickly, accept the first offer, or worse, don't realize the value at all. So ask yourself, how do you sell old rare coins the right way? The answer is strategy. First, authentication is critical. You need to have your coin verified by a professional grading service. This step alone can dramatically increase its value. Buyers want proof. They want confidence. Second, choose the right marketplace. Rare coins like this are often sold through high-end auctions where serious collectors compete. That competition drives prices higher, sometimes into the millions. Now think about that. One small coin creating a bidding war among collectors. That's the power of rarity. You might also be asking, can you really make money from coins? The answer is yes, but only if you approach it wisely. Coin collecting is not just a hobby, it's an investment opportunity. And like any investment, knowledge is your greatest asset. Let me challenge you with another thought. What if your pocket change is not just spare change, but a hidden portfolio? From pocket change to millions? It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a real possibility, and here's where urgency comes in. Every day, rare coins are discovered. Every day, they are sold. And every day, opportunities disappear. Because once a rare coin is found and added to a collection, it may never return to the market again. So the question is, are you going to let this opportunity pass you by, or are you going to start looking at your coins differently, starting today? Now let's bring this all together. The 1995 D Washington quarter error coin is more than just a piece of metal. It represents possibility. It represents hidden value. It represents the idea that something ordinary can become extraordinary, and maybe, just maybe, it represents your next big discovery. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't rush. Take a moment. Look closely. Ask questions. Could this be the one? Could this small coin be the key to something bigger? And most importantly, are you ready to take action if it is? Because the truth is simple, wealth doesn't always come in obvious forms. Sometimes, it's been in your hands all along. Now imagine the feeling, holding a coin worth up to $2 million. Imagine the freedom, the lifestyle, the possibilities. Imagine this, you're holding a simple quarter in your hand. Maybe it's been sitting in a jar for years, maybe it's buried in your car's cup holder, or tucked away in an old drawer you haven't opened in a decade. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, but what if I told you that one specific quarter, yes, just 25 cents, could be worth as much as $2 million? Sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about coins among collectors, the 1997 D Mint Mark Washington Quarter, a coin that has shocked the market and changed lives. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your pocket change? Not just glanced at it, but truly examined it. Because the truth is, most people don't. And that's exactly why treasures slip through their fingers every single day. Coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't sparkle differently or scream for attention. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Now picture this scenario. A man in his early 50s, just like many of you watching right now, was sorting through an old jar of coins he had collected over the years. No expectations, no dreams of wealth, just curiosity. But what he found changed everything. Among those coins was a 1997 D Washington Quarter with a rare minting error. At first, it didn't seem like much. But after a closer look, and eventually a professional evaluation, that single coin turned out to be worth a life-changing fortune. That's the moment everything shifts, from ordinary life to extraordinary opportunity, and here's where it gets exciting. The 1997 D Washington Quarter isn't just any coin. It represents a perfect storm of rarity, error, and demand. Minted in Denver, these quarters were produced in massive numbers, but only a tiny fraction contain the kind of error that collectors are willing to pay millions for. We're talking about striking anomalies, off-center strikes, double dies, or even dramatic planchet errors, that transform a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now you might be wondering, do I have one? Could this really happen to me? And the answer is, yes, it absolutely could. Because coins don't choose their owners. They circulate freely, passing from one hand to another, across states, across years, even decades. That means the next rare coin could already be in your possession, quietly waiting to be discovered. Let's pause for a second. Quick question, what would you do if you suddenly discovered a coin worth $2 million? Would you sell it immediately? Would you hold on to it? Or would you have no idea where to even begin? Don't worry, you're not alone. Most people have no clue how to navigate the world of rare coin selling. But that's exactly what we're going to uncover together, because here's the truth, finding the coin is only half the journey. Knowing how to sell it, where to sell it, and how to maximize its value, that's where the real game begins. The world of coin collecting is filled with opportunities, but it's also filled with pitfalls. One wrong move, and you could end up selling $1 million coin for a fraction of its worth. So how do you avoid that? First, you need knowledge. You need to understand what makes a coin valuable. In the case of the 1997 D Washington Quarter, it's all about the error. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they're buying a story, a mistake that slipped through the cracks of a highly controlled minting process. That rarity creates demand, and demand drives price. Now let me ask you another question. Have you ever thought about turning your everyday pocket change into a source of income? Not just spare cash, but serious, life-changing money. Because it's happening more often than you think. Across the United States, people are discovering valuable coins in the most unexpected places: garage sales, inherited collections, even loose change from grocery stores. And here's a little humor to keep things real: imagine paying for coffee with a quarter that could have bought you a mansion. Painful, right? But it happens. And it happens because people don't know what they're holding. This brings us to the second act of our journey, the transformation. Once you recognize the potential value of your coins, everything changes. You start looking at every coin differently. You start asking questions. Is this rare? Does it have an error? Could this be valuable? And more importantly, how do I sell it? Selling rare coins in the United States is both an art and a science. You have auction houses, coin dealers, online marketplaces, and private collectors, all competing for valuable pieces. The key is to position your coin where it will attract the highest level of attention. High demand creates bidding wars, and bidding wars create record-breaking prices. Imagine your 1997 D Washington quarter being showcased in a prestigious auction. Collectors from around the world placing bids, each one higher than the last. The excitement, the anticipation, and finally, the hammer drops. Sold, for millions. That's not just a dream. That's a real possibility when you play your cards right, but let's not ignore the urgency here. The market for rare coins is constantly evolving. Values rise, trends shift, and opportunities come and go. The longer you wait, the greater the risk of missing out. So ask yourself, are you ready to take action? Are you ready to explore what could be hidden in your own home? Now we move into the final act, the resolution. This is where everything comes together. The discovery, the knowledge, the action. It's not just about one coin. It's about a mindset. A way of seeing value where others see nothing. A willingness to look closer, to question, to learn, from pocket change to millions. That's not just a catchy phrase. It's a journey. And it starts with a single step, paying attention. So tonight, I challenge you. Go through your coins. Look at them carefully. Search for that 1997 D Washington quarter. Examine every detail. Because the next life-changing discovery could be closer than you think. Imagine this, you're sitting at your kitchen table, maybe after a long day, absent-mindedly flipping through loose change. A quarter slips through your fingers, spins, and lands flat. Nothing unusual, or is it? What if I told you that one single 2021 P Mint Mark Washington quarter could quietly be worth up to $2 million, and it might already be hiding in your pocket right now? Pause for a second and really think about that. How many coins have you ignored in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? What if just one of them had the power to change everything? This is not just a story about a coin. This is a story about opportunity, awareness, and the moment your ordinary life collides with extraordinary value. Let's begin. The year is 2021. The United States Mint releases millions of Washington quarters into circulation. Most people see them as nothing more than 25 cents. Something to toss into a jar, spend at a vending machine, or leave behind in a car cup holder. But hidden within these coins, a rare error emerges. A mistake. A tiny imperfection that transforms a simple coin into a collector's dream. Now here's the question, do you know what makes an error coin so powerful? Its scarcity. Its uniqueness. It's the fact that no one planned for it. And collectors? They don't just like rare things, they chase them. They compete for them. They pay unimaginable prices for them, and that brings us to the 2021 P Washington quarter error that has stunned the coin world. Reports began circulating of unusual striking errors. Some coins showed dramatic die breaks, others had off-center strikes, and a few, the rarest of them all, exhibited a combination of errors that made them essentially one-of-a-kind. One coin. One mistake. One moment at the mint, and suddenly, a piece of metal worth 25 cents becomes a multimillion-dollar artifact. Let me ask you something. What would you do if you found one? Would you recognize it? Or would you spend it without a second thought? This is where the story shifts. Because this isn't just about coins anymore. This is about knowledge. The difference between someone who overlooks value, and someone who recognizes it instantly. Picture this scenario. A man walks into a small coin shop with a handful of quarters. Nothing fancy. Just everyday change. The dealer begins sorting through them casually, until he stops. His eyes narrow. He leans closer. That moment of silence, that pause, it's everything, because in that instant, he knows something the seller doesn't. And here's a question for you. Have you ever unknowingly given away something valuable? It happens more often than you think. People sell rare coins for face value simply because they don't know what they have. That's the fear. That's the hidden danger. Not losing money, but never realizing you had it in the first place. But now, you're different. You're here. You're learning, the 2021 P. Washington Quarter Error coins have created a surge in demand across the United States. Collectors are searching relentlessly. Auctions are heating up. Private buyers are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for the right piece, and yes, in extreme cases, the most unique error examples have been valued as high as $2 million, let that sink in. $2 million, for a quarter, sounds unbelievable, right? But history has proven it again and again. Rare coins break records. They shock the market. They reward those who pay attention. So now the question becomes, how do you find one? Start simple. Look at your coins. Really look at them. Not just the date, but the details. Are the designs aligned properly? Is there anything unusual about the lettering? Does the coin look slightly off, like something went wrong during its creation? And here's a fun thought. What if the next coin you check is the one? Feels different now, doesn't it? But let's go deeper. Because finding a rare coin is only half the journey. The real transformation happens when you know how to turn that discovery into life-changing money. How do you sell old rare coins? How do you make sure you're getting the maximum value? Should you go to a local shop? Should you use an online auction? Should you hold on to it and wait? These are the questions that separate curiosity from success. In the United States, the coin market is thriving. Auction houses are constantly searching for rare pieces. Online platforms have made it easier than ever to connect with serious collectors. And professional grading services can authenticate and elevate the value of your coin dramatically. But here's something most people don't realize: timing matters, presentation matters, and knowledge matters most of all. Imagine walking into an auction with confidence, knowing exactly what your coin is worth. Imagine watching bidders compete, driving the price higher and higher. Imagine that final hammer drop, and realizing your life just changed. That's not a fantasy. That's a possibility, and it all starts with awareness. Now let me ask you something else. What's sitting in your drawer right now? What's hiding in that jar of coins you haven't touched in years? Because the truth is, opportunity rarely announces itself loudly. It hides. It waits. It disguises itself as something ordinary, just like that 2021 P. Washington quarter. And here's a little reality check. Millions of people will see coins today. Only a few will truly look at them. And even fewer will recognize their value. Which one are you? Take a moment. Think about the power of small things. A single coin. A single decision. A single moment of attention. This is how wealth begins. Not always with something big, but with something overlooked. Now as we reach the end of this journey, everything connects. The ordinary quarter. The hidden error. The collector's demand. The opportunity to sell. The possibility of turning pocket change into millions. It's all part of the same story, your story. So next time you receive change, don't rush. Don't ignore it. Slow down. Look closer. Ask yourself, could this be the one?